So, right now, I'm sitting outside and it feels so nice. I miss being away from everybody. um, like, I've always loved the countryside. Um, and the countryside slash near the water, it's a perfect combo. But, yeah, I just feel really grateful. And I was watching all these butterflies fly around, and it reminded me of a moment in my journey that was super pivotal. And I wanted to share that because at the time, like, I wanted to run this retreat, um, this like elemental retreat, but I wanted it to start in Mount Shasta, and I had started it with a friend, but then it all kind of fell to shit, and they had like really bad scarcity. And then I was like, fuck, like, what am I gonna do with this like 8-bedroom house in the middle of Shasta? And I didn't have a ton of money, but God was like, just pay for the house. And I was like, okay. And I ended up breaking the retreat off, not having anybody come. It felt kind of blocked anyways. And then I told my friend, I was like, yeah, since I paid for it, like, I'm gonna go enjoy it. And like, that is what it is. And since they didn't pay for it, I didn't invite them. And I was just in a not so great situation back then, so I thought. And I ended up driving to Mount Shasta. My partner at the time had given me their car to go because by then I had sold my car to take care of the family. And it just was like this really beautiful drive, and I had this energy of like, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I can feel something weird. And then I looked at the dates, and the reason why I had booked it during that time was because I wanted to bring everybody together during Lionsgate. And so I ended up going. This house was like more beautiful than I thought. I opened my door, and I felt like I was in like a car magazine or something. It was like luscious and green. We had like a Tesla at the time, which I don't rock anymore, but it just looked so picturesque. I was like, wow, what is this place? And there were all these little cool fairy boxes and ponds, and like, it was just a really magical place. And I opened the door, and there were all these butterflies just came out from like wherever they were hanging out, and I just like stood there in all this magic and awe. And then I grabbed my bags and I went inside, and I just felt my energy like release, like take such a deep breath. And I could like let go of my money fear. I could let go of a lemon just fell off the lemon tree. I just like let go of everything I was scared of during that moment, which was what like God was calling me to do, but I didn't know it. And the only thing I had packed was like some clothes and my altar stuff for my ancestors, because I couldn't really build it where I was living. And so I built this huge altar, and there's this beautiful fireplace in the bedroom, in one of the bedrooms, because I was like sleeping in different ones. And so I built this altar, and it was like beautiful. And I just decided that I was going to connect with whatever was there. And it had like these massive windows, like super massive, totally my vibe, woodsy, like, and it said it was on the water, but I didn't realize it was literally like on the water. And so every day there was like this huge wraparound deck, which is still a perfect place for a retreat. And I would roll out my yoga mat, and I would do my yoga, and then I would get into the water, and I would just walk along the trail, because I got a house that was like had a bunch of land around it, and so there weren't people. It was super private. There were all these hammocks and cute little nooks, and you could go on the path, and there were like these reading houses that you could lay in that were small. And so you could go relax and just be around things. And then they had like an actual, like a yoga shala, like a center that you could use as well and host things in there. And so I just discovered the place, and then I ended up being on this call for Lionsgate, and it was so powerful. And what's funny is that, like, this is like so weird. Even though it's not Lionsgate, I was wearing like almost similar to what I'm wearing right now, and I have these big round glasses, and they were the exact same color as the glasses I have now. They're like rose gold, but they're huge and oversized. And I just sat there outside in the forest on the call, like, I'm loving my life. And someone was like, oh, you look like you're in a totally different world. And I was like, I have no fucking clue where I am right now. But then it got even better. Like, one of my other friends I invited, and she pitched in like a little bit of money. And I was like, yeah, dude, like, come. And so she came with like her roller skates, and I was like, dude, just chill, like, do whatever you want. And we get along really well. We don't have to always be in each other's space. And so she came, and then one morning she was like, dude, you gotta come with me. And we like run through the forest. And then she was like, just follow me. And it felt like so Alice in Wonderland. And we're like running through the forest laughing like little fairies. And then she was like, look, and stopped, and there was these two trees. It looked like a portal. It was like these two giant trees and a bunny, a white bunny sitting in the middle, kind of like looking at us. And then she was like, should we follow the white rabbit? And I was like, yes. And so we ran, and then we ended up at the shala, and we ended up in all these different places. We were like climbing on stuff, and then we met this cat. It was like such a magical thing and so healing. And then on that trip, I actually did like my first photography, and I followed the black cat around, and it followed me around the whole rest of the time. And everywhere I've gone since then, I just always have cats. And I was like, I'm gonna take photos from the cat perspective. And so the reason why I was there was just healing, to be in friendship, to work with the land, and to trust my photography skills. And so I took like these really beautiful pictures for the Airbnb and wanted to like send it to the host and that sort of thing, and learned a lot about myself. And it was just a really cool thing. And I sat in meditation one day, and then I was like, oh, there's a book I need to read. And so I like walked around and felt into the energy, and then reached my hand into this shelf and like pulled out this little pamphlet. I was like, you're the one. And it was this book on Lemuria and like all the different portals in Mount Shasta. And like I had realized in that moment, about like 9 or 10 months before, I met this guy in Ojai, California, and he like literally looked like Jesus. And I was like, you look like Jesus. Like, it was really strange. And I was at this like tarot reading event, and I was the only reader getting business. Everybody else was not getting business. And so he came up and he starts talking to me, and he was like, have you ever been to Mount Shasta? I want to take you to Mount Shasta. And I was like, no, but I have a house planned there. But it was just this really weird conversation. And so God is always talking to you, no matter like what you think is like. Even when you think God is not talking, God is talking. Like, God is always talking. And you know, I got to this house, and everything leading up to it was like so perfectly timed. Like, I just let my life be that way, like down to how I dress, to the minute I wake up, to like my phone perfectly charged, to like everything is synchronized, you know. And my mom experienced one day, and she was like, wow, that was so perfectly timed. And I'm like, when you just surrender to the universe, everything becomes perfectly timed. It's not just like your manifestations, it's everything you do in life. Even the way you move is perfectly timed. And I was like sitting here, and I was like, I really need to order food because I hurt my foot. And so I was like, oh. And then it was like so immediate. I met this guy while I was in Greece, and his name is Ahmed. And He was from Syria, and he was like, tell me what you need. And then he was just like downloading all these apps to my phone, and teaching me a bunch of like Arabic and stuff like that. And then I remembered he had downloaded a food app for me. And but right before I remembered him, I was sitting on the couch and I look at my phone and there's this notification that's from him, and I was like, oh, the food app. The food app. And I went on there and did everything, and then my order was perfect, synchronistic, divine numbers, and I was like, okay. And then I was like, what's the emergency number? Oh, 108. Fabulous. And yeah, it's like you can't miss life. Like, I know that sometimes it can feel really scary to like take that first leap, but it's always worth it. Like, every time I look back on my life, I'm like, how did I get here? Like, what am I doing right now? And then I go, I can't believe I'm doing this. And then I buy that one-way ticket, and then another one-way ticket, and then God's like, just go. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna say my prayers. And I was just eating chocolate croissants. Like, the house came with chocolate croissants, and those are my favorite. Oh my gosh, there's cute little bees, but they're a little close. And it's just sunny and warm and peaceful. And yeah, the driver who dropped me off was like, you're gonna like it here. It's silent, like quiet. You'll have some peace. And I was like, and then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, like I literally said a prayer to God and was like, hey God, I would really love if I can have some peace right now. Like, I feel like the rest of the collective, like going through a lot of changes. And, you know, I trust in the angels, and I trust in the divine, and I trust in my energy and my magic. But I was like, I need to hear myself. I was like, I need to hear myself. I need to hear you. And yeah. And I was also like, I needed to wash my clothes and like do all these different things. And I was like, yes, a washer. Like, I never look at the details. Like, I just book where God tells me to book. And I just let myself be surprised. And I've never been let down ever. But I'm also a very optimistic person. And so I was like, there's a washer. Like, there's a first aid kit. Thank you. And yeah, like the croissants, like I can't even get over. Like, those are my favorite. So long story short, my friends, I just wanted to say, like, God is always moving in your life when you least expect it. And God is always watching. Always watching. And if you're willing to say yes to the adventure, your life is going to change forever. Like, I know I say this all the time, but like, I still remember once upon a time being houseless, like having eating disorders, healing from body trauma, trying to figure out how I was going to feed myself, wondering if I could tell any of my family or ask for help, like. And now I'm in a house on the mountaintop in Greece, you know? And yeah, like, every day is a miracle when you allow it to be. And I do want to say, from like the bottom of my heart, I'm always thinking about all of you. And I'm so grateful that you're all here. And if you need help, please come work with me. Like, come work with me. Your life does not have to be challenging. There's so many resources in my link tree as well that you are welcome to, because I would love for everybody to just experience whatever this is, like the magic of the universe, the magic of God, the magic of angels and the ancestors, and the strength that lives within us that we don't always look at. You're so much stronger than you give yourself credit for, and your magic is so much stronger than you allow it to be. Don't forget to say your prayers. My guru reminded me, so I'm reminding all of you. Don't forget to say your prayers. We will be yin and yang. I love you. Ciao. I will tell you more stories later, and I will be back with another surprise very soon. Bye.